Hey gorgeous, it's Ker-leen. Thank you for tuning back into my channel. In today's video, I will be doing a perfume haul. This will most likely be my last perfume haul of 2023. In fact, it's going to be the last haul. I'm gonna just put it out there. So yeah, in curating my collection, I'm constantly adding new beautiful scents and decluttering the ones that no longer draw me towards them. So anyways, these are the newest ones, and if you're interested to see what they are, then please stay tuned. Hey friend, welcome back. I'm so grateful that you're back with me for another one. To those of you who are new here on this channel, I make videos on lifestyle, luxury, to include fragrance videos. I do review videos, and I also sprinkle in a little bit of my personal life in my monthly vlogs. So if any of those things interest you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when my videos drop. All right, let's get into it. So the first one is one that I have done a dedicated first impression review on, and it is the Eden Sparkling Lychee or Lychee 39. This is a fragrance, y'all, that I am loving still, and I can tell, as I mentioned in my description box of the last video, that this is going to be amazing in the spring and the summer. The summer for those of you who live in less humid climates, but starting in the spring for those of us that live in very humid climates like me in Florida. I know this is going to be a stunner in the spring because the warmth of my body, as my body is heating up, is really going to allow this to project and also to just turn into something very beautiful. This has a beautiful sandalwood note in it, along with all the fruitiness you get. And I feel like that sandalwood note is going to get even better as this fragrance sits. I just feel like it's going to be this really fruity and creamy, ambery, stunning fragrance spring and summer. So I'm really excited about this one. When I first smelled it, it smelled like fruit and candy to me. That's still what I'm getting, but when you put this on the skin, it turns a little bit more ambery and a little bit more creamy like, and I can tell it's only going to get better with time, which from what I hear is very consistent with all the Kayali fragrances. They do get better with time. They do get better as they sit. So anyways, I think this is going to be amazing, and this was one of my most recent purchases. Another one of my most recent purchases was JANY by Sora Dora, and y'all, I have been absolutely loving this fragrance. I wore this on Christmas Day, and it's just sweet, edible happiness in a bottle. It's so good. It has this warmth about it. It has this sweetness to it. There's a pastry note in here. It's not overwhelming, but you definitely get a sense of an apple pie with an extra dose of cinnamon. It's very sweet and comforting. It's so good. It is just so good. This lasts forever on the clothes and a very long time on the skin. It smells very, very high quality. And for me, it's been really important for me to let my fragrances sit because I've been paying attention. And when I spray my fragrances and let them sit and come back to them when I first get them, they do develop a little bit more. The notes do blend together a little bit better. And I think it has something to do with that oxygen being let into the bottle. So once I did that, y'all, this amazing. I finished my 2 ml sample of this, and then I broke into the bottle because I just knew I wasn't going to return this. This was a love for me. This started out as a like for me because the cinnamon was really overwhelming when I first got it, and then I sprayed it, let some oxygen into the bottle, and then it was something that I absolutely fell in love with and still am in love with. Definitely still in love with this one. It's so good. So this was JANY by Sora Dora. This one here is one of the newest ones to my collection. This is an absolute edible gourmand. So if there was like a spectrum from a slightly gourmand and absolutely edible smelling, this one would fall on that end of the spectrum. Absolutely edible smelling. And this is Velvet Chocolate by Theodore Kalotinis. This is food in a bottle. It is food in a bottle. This to me smells like semi-sweet chocolate. So it's not super milk chocolate, but it's not super dark chocolate. It's somewhere in the middle, and it is so, so good. For me, when I first smell this, I get a chocolate note. So I get that semi-sweet chocolate note. And then as it dries down, I start to get the cacao And then later on in the dry down, I start to get the vanilla a little bit more. And to me, that's pretty much all I smell with this one. I think it's a very linear scent. It's a very simplistic scent. It's a great layering scent if you want to add chocolate to any fragrance. As a matter of fact, the video coming up after this one will be a layering combo video where I share some layering combos that I've been loving as of late. I have layered this with some of the fragrances you'll see in this video, and so good, y'all. So for me, this is a fragrance that you need in your collection if you love chocolate. I've been on a little bit of a chocolate kick lately. Like, I've been really into chocolate scents. So I knew that I had to pick up a chocolate scent, and after doing some research, I settled on this one because it was a quality chocolate at a really affordable price. If you love a good chocolate and you want like a niche fragrance, but you don't want to break the bank, this is a really nice house. I'm really excited to try some more from the brand. The next one that I have my eye on is, I think it's called Coffee Addict. I think that's the next one I'll be picking up, but not before the year ends. Maybe sometime next year, definitely not this year. But yeah, this is Velvet Chocolate by Theodore Kalotinis. All right, so I know that a lot of you look at the thumbnails and you watch the video till you find the fragrance that you're interested in. And I know a lot of you are probably here because of this fragrance. So this next fragrance is the latest iteration of Goldfield and Banks Silky Woods, and this is a Silky Woods Elixir. So I unboxed Silky Woods, and the footage is going to be in one of my vlogs where you'll hear my thoughts, my first impressions, but we'll get into it in this video as well. I have had some time to test this out, so I do have some thoughts on this fragrance, so let's get into it. So first I'll start with the reason why I picked this up. I picked this fragrance up because I really wanted to pick up Silky Woods. And then I saw that they released or are releasing a new one. This has been released in Europe. I purchased this from Harrods, and it's coming to the States in February of 2024. But the reason I picked this up early and from Harrods is because when I calculated the cost and compared it to the US cost, it actually ended up being cheaper getting it from Harrods early. So not only was I able to get it a little bit earlier, it was also less expensive. Silky Woods Elixir, y'all, let's get into it. When I first sprayed this fragrance, it was, by the way, I would describe my fragrance personality as very feminine, and I love girly girl scents. So I wanted to put that out there. So anyways, when I first sprayed this, I was so nervous that it was going to be overly masculine because the only 2 reviews on Fragrantica at the time said that this was masculine leaning. But I had already ordered at that point, so I was like, you know what, whatever. Plus, I was really curious about the DNA. Sidebar, I will be getting the original Silky Woods and doing a comparison video. So that's coming. I just need to get my hands on a sample, and then I'll see which one I like the best and do a comparison for y'all. Let's go ahead and spray this on. So I'm gonna spray it on my arm here. I'm gonna get a little on my skin as well. If you are a niche lover that loves your complex, layered scents, you will appreciate this fragrance. I think you will appreciate it a lot. So when I first sprayed this, I picked up a very lush green note. It was as if the fig was on a tree in a very lush forest, but not a super coniferous forest. So not like a forest with tons of acorns or anything like that. Just a very wet, dewy, lush forest. And the fig on the tree was not quite ripe. So it was an unripe fig in a very lush forest. That's really the first kind of notes I began to pick up. Something very lush, very green, a more dewy green, and very dense and heavy. I wouldn't describe this fragrance as dark, but it's a very dense, deep, almost mysterious fragrance. So it's something that you wear in the winter, in the dead of winter, when it's super duper cold, or this could be nice for a date night. After a while, I started to pick up on some of the other notes. I feel like that's when the orris that's in here started to come through, because it started to get a little bit more smoother, a little less intense, a little less heavy. It started to smoothen out. And then I started to pick up on the saffron and the vanilla. And on the deep dry down, the vanilla that you get from this fragrance is worth the wait. It is worth the wait. So this is a fragrance that does take you on a journey. It's a very complex. The notes in here are also very heavy notes, very potent and powerful notes. but they are blended to perfection and you experience them in a way that is so beautiful. So while this fragrance's profile is not similar to my profile at all, this is a fragrance that I can appreciate and have even come to enjoy so much. I feel like after the first 10 minutes or so, you start to work past that initial opening and then you start to get into the other notes. And after about the first 20 minutes or so, you start to get that beautiful saffron as well as that gorgeous deep dense vanilla. So this fragrance is sweet, but it's not like your typical sweet fragrance. The sweetness of the vanilla is almost a natural sweetness, but it is there. On the deep dry down of this, what lingers on my skin and on my clothes, I feel like is a vanilla pudding with saffron sprinkled on top and like a woody undertone. It turns really woody and you get that vanilla. It is gorgeous. It's like this. I feel like if gold had a scent, this is what gold would smell like. And I also feel like if fragrance had a color, this would be gold. So like the color of the original bottle, but this juice smells like what I imagine gold would possibly smell like. It is so luxurious. It is so complex. The vanilla that you're rewarded with is well worth the wait. It is so worth it. This lasts forever on the clothes. I sprayed it on a robe that I was wearing, and then I picked the robe up 3 days later, and it was as if I had just sprayed the fragrance. I also have been using my hubby as my test sniffer, and he said that my robe smelled sweet. So the dry down of this is gorgeous. It's not like your typical dry down where it's very faint. No, this dry down, people will smell you when they come in close. They will definitely smell you. So the performance on this fragrance is absolutely gorgeous. It doesn't project extremely loud, but it definitely projects the first few hours, and then you will smell it all day long, and so will those who come near you. So the performance is on par with the price. I have heard people having performance issues with the original. I'm not really able to compare because I don't yet have the original, but I will be getting it soon, and then I can compare the performance. But y'all, this fragrance surprised me. When I read the notes, I was a little nervous, but I said, you know what? It's supposed to be a vanilla fragrance, so let's go for it. And then when I saw the reviews, I got a little nervous. And then when I first sprayed it, I was still a little nervous. And then I let the fragrance do its thing. I sat it down for a few days. I came back to it. I really took my time to experience the transitions and the wear. And y'all, this is beautiful. If you like very feminine leaning scents, you may not enjoy this, okay? Unless you're open to trying new things like I am. And after really opening up my mind to the possibilities of this fragrance, I've come to really enjoy it. So it's a really strong like for me right now. Not exactly a love, but a really strong like. What would make this a love for me is if this had more vanilla and were even sweeter with all the same notes. I would still appreciate it with all the same notes with just a little bit more sweetness and more vanilla, which I think can still happen as this ages, because you all know how vanilla ages. It gets darker and sweeter. So I think that this fragrance is going to be even more beautiful in like a few months, and definitely by this time next year. So those are my thoughts on Silky Woods Elixir. I should also note that my husband said that this didn't smell very masculine to him. So I had him smell it and I said, would you wear this? He said, I'm not sure. It doesn't really smell very masculine. So to my nose, this was more masculine leaning, but something a woman could pull off very easily, especially if you're a woman that likes deeper, darker scents. You don't mind something that's more masculine leaning. You love woody fragrances. You love spicy fragrances, maybe even incensey fragrances. You'll probably be able to appreciate this. So I don't know if that helps any, but my husband did say that this wasn't masculine enough to his nose. So yeah, there's that. So those are my thoughts on Silky Woods Elixir. Stay tuned for a video comparing the original to this one. So the next fragrance I picked up is from the Dua brand. The reason I wanted to try a dupe brand is because I am really seriously thinking about getting this fragrance, and I wanted to test out the profile to see if it was something that I would like. And the fragrance that I want to get is Ker-leen's new Fève Gourmand. I heard about it when people were talking about the original being discontinued, the Gourmand Coquin, and I was intrigued. I was immediately intrigued, but it was discontinued and I had to jump through hoops, and I don't like jumping through hoops. At the time I was new into the journey and that's not something I was willing to do. But now that this new iteration has been released, I've been hearing that it's not the same as the original, very similar but not quite the same, and that's fine with me. That's good enough for me. But I still wanted to be sure before I dropped the money on this fragrance. So I picked up Dua's a dark chocolate rum and vanilla symphony. So this is a mix between Xerjoff's Symphonium, which is another one that I was looking at, and Gourmand Cocaine. So I picked this up because I wanted to see, am I gonna like this profile? Is this profile for me before I drop the money? I have yet to go see if the Neiman Marcus over here on my end has a Ker-leen counter. And I was online one day, I saw some reviews and I went to check out the website and I saw this and I picked it up. So y'all, this fragrance is very unique. And if the real thing smells anything like this, I think that it's a masterpiece. If this smells anything like the original. Now, as you can see, the juice is very clear and light. And I know that it's going to deepen and darken over time. And so this fragrance needs to sit a lot more. It's been sitting for over a week now, but I know that it needs to sit even more. I've been spraying it and letting it sit. So I'm excited to see what this is gonna smell like in like a month or so. But this fragrance is this cacao, powdery, it's a very strong rum concoction. To my nose, this smells like a chocolate and rum reduction. It's just simmering and you reduce it and this is what you would get. The rum is not in the form where you just drink it. It's been mixed with a food item and it loses some of that alcoholic edge, but the depth of it, the strength of it is still there, it's still very present in this, and it's mixed with that chocolate. And it's not like a milk chocolate. It's not even like a dark chocolate. I feel like this is like a cacao, like just the powder, the powder from the cacao pod. This is also very soft and powdery. It's not very dense at all. And overall, I think this is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And if the original smells anything like it, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think I will probably go ahead and get a decant of Fève Gourmand if I can track it down. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, I'll let you all know for sure. And the last fragrance that I picked up is the newest Navitus Parfum fragrance from their collaboration with Paulina Shar here on YouTube. And this is Lost in a Dream. Lost in a Dream has been sprayed and been sitting for over a week now. And this is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna spray it on this little thing right here. Oh man, this fragrance is gorgeous. For me, right now, what I'm smelling is a milky almond mix with orchid in the background. When I first got this fragrance, the orchid in here was so prominent and strong. But I feel like the orchid has dialed back a little bit, but it's still there. Very prominent. I get the milk note, I get the almond note, and then like a few seconds after that, I start getting the fantasy croissant-like note. It's also very sweet. Although it's milky and creamy and almondy and sweet, it's still very light. And then to my nose, I start getting some wood. The woody notes are coming through. This is so good. It's delicious, but in a very feminine, light, floral kind of way. It's a very perfumey gourmand fragrance. I can tell this is going to be extremely gorgeous in the spring. I'm not sure about the summer, but in the spring, this is going to be gorgeous because it does have an orchid that is very prominent to my nose. And then when you put that together with all of those savory notes, it's going to be beautiful. That's what this is. It's more of a sweet savory gourmand than a sweet, sugary, sweet type of gourmand. The other fragrance I have that's like that is JANY. So JANY is a perfumey gourmand that has a sweet and savory thing going on and has a fantasy note in here, an apple pie puff pastry type of note. And this fragrance has that croissant type of note in here with a milky touch. So they're not the same type of fragrance, but they are both like a sweet savory type of gourmand that is a little bit perfumey. This is really nice. It smells so expensive. It has an addictive quality. I feel like what makes this so beautiful is that croissant note, that croissant. I feel like that note really bridges the gap. It's like the glue in this fragrance. It's what gives this fragrance a unique quality. Aside from all the other beautiful notes in here, the croissant note is one that will have you wondering, if you didn't know it was in here, what is that? What is that note? What am I smelling? There's something else in here. So yes, it's milky. Yes, it has a floral note in it. Yes, it's woody. Yes, it's sweet, but there's something in the background. Like, what is that? That's the way that they've done that note, that croissant note in this fragrance. So it's not overly done. You're not going to be able to pick up on it and say, that's a bread note or that's a croissant note. No, instead, it's peeking through and it's leaving you wondering what it is. And I think that's what makes this special. So while I have not worn this a lot because I've been giving it a little bit of time to do its thing, I can tell when I do finally start to wear this, I'm not going to be able to put it down because of that croissant that's in here. And it's going to give this sweet, savory, milky, floral vibe without being cloying or very heavy. So yeah, this is really, really pretty. I'm also loving the white bottle. Now, I don't really love the matteness of this because my bottle has chipped. It was already chipped when I opened it around the top, and then it's chipped in a couple more places. So I feel like this white, this milky white is gorgeous, but it would be even better if it were glossy, if they finished it with like a glossy coat. But other than that, y'all, loving the white bottle, loving the gold top, loving the juice that's in here, and loving how much you get, 100 ml for the price. Y'all, the fragrance inside of here is beautiful. All right, friend, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're still here, you don't have to say anything, but just leave an emoji of some sort, a heart, a thumbs up, a wave, whatever you want to leave, drop it down in the comments so that I know you are here. And if you enjoy these kinds of videos, I will be bringing you lots of fragrance content on this channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join the family, and also turn on your notifications so you never miss another video. Before you click off today, I wanted to leave you with something that I was encouraged by this week. And Tabitha Brown posted one of her little short encouraging videos talking about this very same thing. As we are in the holiday season and as we move into the new year, I definitely wanted to share this with you all. And that is that going into this next year, you have to learn that you can only control your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, and what you do. You can't control what anyone else does. Your job is to be the best version of yourself possible, and to spread love and to spread kindness and to think the best of other people. And you have to let go of expectations that people may be at the same space that you're in, especially as we've all gone through so many different things in our lives and lots of hurts, lots of disappointments. Not everyone is going to heal and be able to reciprocate love and kindness at the same rate that you're trying to do it. As we go into this new year, I'm going to be focusing on being the best version of myself possible and giving love to others regardless of whether it's reciprocated or not, and really just do what Christ would have me do in every situation, what I think he would do if he were still walking this earth, and what he would have me do. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.